Travis Wesley had had one of the worst days of his life. You don't expect to hear from a wife you've lived with for 23 years that she will start dating other men starting tonight. He was sitting quietly at the kitchen table, holding a glass of monkey shoulder whiskey in his hands. For 10 long minutes, he did not touch the amber liquid. Instead, he stared into the void, neither seeing nor hearing anything, but feeling a deep and heartbreaking pain inside. Travis realized that no amount of Alka-Seltzer it would ease the pain in his stomach. I had heard stories of other men whose wives mentioned dating other men, but I always knew it dismissed as urban myths. How could a woman think that her faithful husband would you tolerate me dating someone else? The thought of other men was incomprehensible to him. I couldn't understand how a woman could be so insensitive towards her own husband, so openly selfish in his desires. It was a Monday, but the atmosphere at Travis' work, he was quite nice. Came out around 5 in good spirits, whistling as he entered the house. Still in a good mood, he found his wife sitting at the kitchen table, sipping a glass of red wine, along with his favorite whiskey. He took his usual seat, put down his briefcase. He poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey and relaxed in the chair. "What are you thinking, Lauren?" he asked. Travis noticed the sly on-risa on his lips. She looked him straight in the eyes, with an expression that combined mischievousness and confidence. What he saw in her gaze, it didn't inspire him with much confidence. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Do you think she's been a good wife and mother for all these years, Trev?" His voice was calm and serene. Travis furrowed his breast, knowing how thoughtful she could be. I could almost see the thoughts running through his head before finally answering. "Yes, I think that's it." "And do you think I deserve any kind of recognition for that?" he asked, keeping his face impassive. Travis paused, considering the question. "I should really expect a reward, just for fulfilling my role as a good husband and father." "Why are you asking me this?" Lauren replied with a tone of irritation in her voice. "I want to go out with another man today," he said calmly, her attitude as serene as a calm lake. On a perfect morning, Travis was grateful to be sitting down. A wave of nausea rose up his throat, and his head seemed to clear as he tried to understand her request to date another man. Lauren looked at him with an expression that made him feel like a fool and nodded slowly. "Yeah, with another man, Travis. It's been 24 years since we became exclusive, and during that time I haven't had anyone else. I've been a boot wife and a loving mother to our children, and I feel like I deserve a night out with someone new. I'm not looking for love, just a chance to have fun. Just one night of intimacy," explained. "I am 47 years old, and I realize that I will not always be attractive. I want to explore different options while I still have the opportunity, and I could take it out easily." Travis's jaw dropped slowly in disbelief. He realized that he had understood his wife well. But of course, he couldn't be serious, could he? I didn't need to ask. The Orin felt in a way that suggested she was reading his mind. "Damn it," he muttered as she got up from the table, and he was going upstairs to change his clothes. A few minutes later, Lauren came down the stairs, looking stunning in a black dress that hugged her curves. She had a bold neckline that showed off part of her chest. Her makeup was discreet. After all, a beautiful woman does not need to emphasize anything. Her long blonde hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail. It was an unforgettable scene. Lauren could see that her husband was completely fascinated by her. "I will not tolerate this," Travis said, getting up from the chair. "I don't know what you're planning, but you won't do it as long as she's still my wife." The Lauren's cheerful smile turned into a bitter display. "You're not going to ruin my night, Travis. You could pretend that you're calm, but deep down you know that you won't leave me because of this. Where else could you find someone like me? You know it's true. The kids will be so upset, and you break up our family. So let's go, Travis. Let me have some fun. Eventually we'll be together again, growing old together. You love me, and you don't want to be alone while I have the choice." A horn sounded in the street. Lauren picked up a small bag and walked over to Travis, leaning in to kiss him goodbye. He shuddered, as if he had been hit with an electric shock, and he took a step back for a moment. Laura looked at him surprised and offended. Then a hard go-to expression appeared on his face. "I'll be back," maybe he said. As she spoke, he watched her in disbelief as she walked out the door. Is this really the end of their 23-year marriage? That's right, he thought. Laura Eno looked back as she walked away from him. The investigations have revealed a disappointing but obvious truth. People considered attractive tend to have an advantage in life compared to their more average peers. It's easier for them to make friends, they attract more attention, and they often receive higher grades from teachers. This was especially true for Laura, and the effect only intensified. When I was very young, once he had fully matured, he soon discovered that with a simple flicker of his eyelashes and a warm smile could charm almost any guy. For those who were more difficult to conquer, he was simply emphasizing his physical attractiveness to close the deal. Like almost every guy she met, Travis became fascinated by Lauren almost as soon as their paths crossed. Her family had moved to the city just before the 8th grade started, and on his first day of school, he met Lauren and fell in love with her instantly. Being a talented lyricist and popular among his peers, Travis summoned up the courage and invited Lauren on a school date. And to her delight, she accepted. They started dating and remained a couple until the beginning of high school. At the local high school, it was at that moment when Lauren decided to end the relationship, to get involved with Lando Ness Jr., a famous player of the school football team. At that time, Travis was 1.63 meters tall and weighed 50 kilograms, while this was 1.88 meters tall and weighed 86 kilos. Although Travis was hurt by the breakup, he accepted the situation, realizing that Lauren was on another level as far as attractiveness. In fact, most of the guys at school couldn't compete with their looks. Because Lauren was dating a football player, I was talking to the popular crowd at school, whereas Travis was just another face in the halls. Had several friendships and dates with other students, but he never spoke to Lauren during his time at the school. When they crossed paths, she acted like she didn't know him at all. What initially bothered Travis, but over time, he accepted this reality. By his senior year, Travis had grown 2 inches and gained weight. He was a bright and athletic young man, although few people compared him to Lauren. He went to the prom with his attractive but unremarkable girlfriend. That night, the two had their first intimate experience. Lauren was proclaimed the prom queen, and her partner received the title of prom king. After graduation, they also shared intimate moments together. Although she was not completely inexperienced, sometimes he was able to adjust situations in his favor. For any guy who was lucky enough to date Lauren, intimacy was always part of the equation. After graduating from high school, Travis decided to study accounting at Michigan State University. During his 4 years of study, he went out with several girls, but I never get into a serious relationship. Meanwhile, Lauren earned a degree in marketing at Central Michigan University, where she went out and slept with several men, including a marketing professor who she tried to make her BA grade go up. By pure chance, they both found a job in Grand Rapids. After graduating from the university, almost a year after graduating, Travis and his colleagues were relaxing on a Friday night at a famous bar and restaurant when Lauren and 2 friends walked in. Everyone instantly turned around to look at the stunning woman in a short green dress and a plunging neckline. Lauren barely noticed this attention. By this point, he was already familiar. Who is this goddess? Steve White addressed all his colleagues without missing a beat. Travis responded instinctively. Lady and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Lauren Ness, my high school sweetheart and goddess. All the heads at the table looked from the woman to Travis. Many were surprised. Do you know her? Asked one person incredulously. Travis winced uncomfortably at the attention. We were 14 years old at the time. As soon as high school started, I took a back seat and she completely ignored me. For the 4 years, he said quietly. Some interesting history of those times, joked one of the women at the table, causing the laughter of everyone present. This attracted the attention of Laura and her friends. For a moment, she thought she recognized one of the men at the table, but I couldn't be sure. The 3 of them settled into the next chair, with Laura in front of a table at which a vaguely familiar man was standing. Come on, why don't you come over and say hi? Animal White, you're practically salivating. Steve joked with another colleague, Casey Jello. It's like I've forgotten that we've known each other for 4 years. Travis agreed, while several other colleagues. They wondered why he remembered it now. Meanwhile, Laura was watching men having lunch. Suddenly, she snapped her fingers and pointed at him. "This is a bad idea," one of her friends warned. "In some places in the restaurant, you could get in trouble for pointing it out." Her friend's remark was ignored. "I'll be back in a minute," he said. "I need to say hello to an old friend." With that, Laura got up from her seat and walked over to Travis' table. "Hi, Travis. I'm glad to see you," she exclaimed, coming up to him. Travis rolled his eyes at his friends and then turned to Laura and smiled. Laura in that, "Well, to see you," replied, but there was no enthusiasm in his tone. As she got up, Laura approached Travis and kissed him gently on the lips, putting his hands on her shoulders. His colleagues looked surprised. Shocked Travis didn't know how to react. Laura caught his reaction and gave him a playful smile, hinting at mischief. She felt safe in this exchange game, knowing full well that he wouldn't be able to return the favor. "Let's go back to our table," he suggested, taking his hand and almost dragging him. As a result, he spent most of the evening with Laura and her two friends. Before leaving, Laura picked up her phone. She added her number and kept it to herself. They were surprised that Travis seemed so indifferent toward her. It was a completely new experience for her. He was courteous at the restaurant, but he divided his attention equally between her and her friends all night. Even though she kissed him several times, he did not react in any way. On Monday morning, Travis' mates at the bar. They asked him about Beauty, surprised when he admitted that he was only at the bar for an hour before he went home. "She is amazing, but it's definitely not at my level. At least 14 levels down," he muttered to himself. "I don't want any more drama." 2 days later, when Travis was leaving work, he encountered a family tension in the parking lot. When she was waiting for him by the car, he made a show of displeasure, despite his reluctance. He had to admit that she looked lovely, even with an outfit that was one size smaller. "Why didn't you call, Trev?" she whispered as he approached. Travis struggled to keep his composure, his gaze running over the figure of the Orin, like a woman who hadn't eaten in days. The low neckline of her blouse exposed her chest, and the hem of her dress passed only a few centimeters above her waist. "Damn it," he murmured softly as she bent down. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed her lips to his. He felt completely stunned when she clung to him, and his arm wrapped around her waist, touching the back of her head, that she was only partially covered by her underwear. Because of the raised dress, she bit her lips. They eventually split up, and Loren adjusted her dress to cover her underwear. Several colleagues, surprised, they rushed out in their cars. Later, they had dinner at a restaurant on the outskirts of the city, enjoying a meal together, while Loren was taking care of the dress. Both Travis and the young waitress, they seemed amused by their efforts. Travis was wary of Loren, but he felt helpless in front of such an elegantly dressed beauty. His only chance was to impress her in bed that night. "Oh my God," his wrote Travis to himself, looking at Lauren's figure. For the first time, she was the personification of the goddess I had always imagined. If that was his only chance to fully express himself, he had to make sure that the desire did not cloud his feelings. Satisfied, they laid down opposite each other with their eyes closed. The Orin smiled mischievously. "I was making a big mistake many years ago," he whispered. "He was amazing. Who would have thought it? If only I had seen him before. We've wasted so much time." Travis. Loren had a keen eye for potential. Travis might not be as bright as others, but he was still handsome, he was fit, and he seemed destined for great things. Not to mention, he was exceptional in bed. "I thought she was just talking to herself," Travis admitted. Despite Travis' concerns, particularly about their self-esteem, their relationship blossomed. Although Lauren's physical beauty was obvious, he was becoming more and more attracted to his true self. "I bought an engagement ring, but before proposing, we decided to talk about our opinions about fidelity." When they sat down at the table for this important conversation, Travis said, "What happened in the past is already behind us. I feel the same, but I need to understand what the future holds. By moving on, I want there to be complete exclusivity between us. No exceptions. If you have any doubt that you are capable of this, tell me now." He placed a small black box on the table between them. Loren looked at Travis for a moment before looking at the box. "I will never betray my husband," he said firmly. When Travis lifted the lid, he remembered his words and realized that his wife. He seemed to perceive the situation as nothing more than a betrayal, especially since I had warned him in advance. But deep down inside, I knew that wasn't true. She should have expected him to take it that way. Because if I didn't, it would mean that he did not accept the reality of his relationship. Over the years, Travis knew that he retook him a lot of chances to deviate. But as far as he knew, he rejected them all. Staying the boot wife, she always was. In his eyes, she was a perfect 10. He's a 6 barely. Had many opportunities to get his attention. Was someone more attractive, assuming she didn't have an affair that he didn't know about. She had been a loyal companion for 23 years. Travis had to face the weight of that loyalty. You should feel grateful for all those years. Travis had to face the weight of that loyalty. You should feel grateful for all those years. But when he said, "I love you," he meant it was for life, not just for a fleeting 23 years. In fact, not a week went by without Laura. Proposals will arrive, not only of men. As Travis pointed out, she realized that her beauty, it wasn't limited to her skin. She was really extraordinary. A rare goddess in a world full of ordinary beauty. Travis often joked that when God created his wife, it must have been an amazing day. At the beginning, Laura wasn't shy about telling Travis about all cases of unwanted attention. She was striving to be completely frank. After some years, Travis assured her that he trusted her so much that some things remained a secret. "I just wanted to receive information. If after your initial refusal, the unwanted courtship continued, to be able to intervene if necessary." On the other hand, women rarely got close to Travis, mainly because she was wearing her wedding ring as a kind of protective barrier. From the moment I met a woman, he talked with pleasure about his wife and children, effectively denying any interest. I had no idea what such behavior. He often discouraged flirting. Meanwhile, Laura had no idea that her husband's actions, they were making the courtship difficult, or even worse. Their almost fabulous marriage lasted 22 years, until Rosa is posit. He entered his professional world. Rosa got a job at the same public relations agency as Laura. With dark hair, big brown eyes, and a curved figure, Rosa had a magnetic charm that I remembered a song by Bob Seger, and easily attracted the attention of men. Despite the potential for bigger roles, he decided to remain as Laura's loyal assistant. Known for her charm and charisma at the age of 42, Rosa had been married for 15 years, but he openly declared his happiness in marriage. He talked freely about his extramarital affairs, vividly describing the passionate encounters with different couples. "Really? Have you ever lost your way since marriage?" Rosa asked during a coffee break at work. "She seems to be such a strong woman, but I can't help but wonder if you want anything else." Laura replied, "I'm not going to deny that I'm interested, but I could never betray Travis." Recently, I had noticed that there was less attention of men in bars and restaurants, and young women often intercepted such attention. This made her doubt her own attractiveness. Let's think a little about the scenario of what could happen. Rosa said, "And if your husband had given you his approval, what'd you do then?" The Oran's face showed that he had never thought about it. Thoughts about possible options began to crowd into his mind. "I think if I got his approval, it would change everything." Laura set in with a playful smile. "Have you ever thought about asking her to do that?" He suggested Rosa. "They say that everything worth having is worth asking for." Laura had never thought about it. His expression turned into curiosity and doubt. "He will never give me permission." Laura replied in confirmation. "So, should I take care of everything for you?" Rosa asked with permission implicit in her tone. "Just tell him, then take what you want. No matter how I react, make him believe that he loves you enough. Like to let this happen, that they can work it out together. Love is not a problem. Your heart belongs only to him." Travis was startled by the sound of a car approaching the house, and he realized that it was already 3 in the morning. He looked at the half-empty bottle of Woodford Reserve, and he joked with Laura when she came into the house. Great night, his gaze stopped in the disheveled figure of his wife. Tousle hair, no makeup, Wrinkled clothes. She seemed more pleased with herself than guilty. I could tell you the same thing, she replied. You didn't have to wait. You know I'm going to bed. And maybe you too? Never with you again, he replied. Laura Enel shot him a look of contempt, and he went up the stairs. Travis poured himself another glass of bourbon, and he went back to Ispian. He spent the night in an armchair with his stomach roaring. At 9 o'clock, he decided to make breakfast. While he was eating, he heard the sound of the shower. In the main bathroom, Laura usually came down in turn of bathrobes, with her hair and towel. This time she came out perfectly coiffed. Did you leave me something to eat? He asked. And I know the coffee, but you'll have to cook it yourself. He answered firmly. And since you're dressed at home, we need to talk. Laura Ince was stunned by Travis' calmness. I was hoping it would get out of control, that it would be easier to manipulate him. But the rational Travis complicated the conversation. He understood. Don't you want to hear about the night? He asked gently. Travis noticed a tone of superiority in her voice. Did he really think you were interested in hearing about his betrayal? Not at all. I want to understand how you see our marriage in the future. Travis replied calmly. As I said yesterday, I plan to explore relationships with other men in the coming years. I like intimacy without emotional ties. My love for you is still strong, but I get new sensations. You're fantastic in bed, but I want variety. I want to experiment with other men while I still feel desired. I have dedicated 23 years to you, never thinking about cheating on you. I'm looking for the thrill of the unknown. You are amazing, but I need some variety for a while. After that, we can cavalry together towards the binding of being, and I will cherish the time we have spent. Ready to spoil you for the rest of our days, Loren explained. Travis was following Lauren's conversation closely, while she was busy with the toast and jam for her coffee. Seemed to him a somewhat distant approach to spreading the butter on the toast while talking about such important issues in his life. A flurry of questions crossed his mind. I really want something more. I'm not enough for you. Before I could respond, he continued. So, you suggest we try an open marriage for a while. If we then return to monogamy, does that mean I can date other people? The order could barely contain its laughter. The idea of her sweet and reserved husband asking for a date with another woman, she was too funny. Travis was the most sincere person I had ever met when it came to marriage. However, if that was the way I had to agree theoretically, then she confirmed it. Naturally, I assumed that for you it would be just a physical rule. Travis raised his eyebrows and shrugged his shoulders. Loren did not fully understand the meaning of this gesture, but he intuits it. How about a date with Rose? Travis asked. She's a nice woman from my office, and I'm sure she'll be delighted to know that you're going to help me keep my marriage while I explore other physical connections. Travis was stunned. He, a young single man, was attracted to Rose. But as a responsible married man of 47, I knew I couldn't act on those wishes. I wouldn't mind going out with Rose, but no. Honey, thanks anyway. You would make me the same liar you went tonight, he replied. Loren's smile quickly turned into a show of anger. I'm not a liar, I screamed. Well, if that's what you think, baby, he replied much more seriously than she expected. But I still can't agree with that. You'll change your mind, honey, because I'll do it anyway, she replied. Rose walked into Loren's office at around 11 a.m. on Monday, and he immediately felt her disappointment. Fuck that closed-minded fool, muttered Loren, closing the door behind Rose. Great. He even refused to go out with you. Rose frowned. I didn't even realize it was on public display. But still, how can you resist this? He said, running his hand over his body. How was your date? Did you like it? Another Bisa ruined everything. The date was amazing. Jonas really knows how to treat women. Loren exclaimed. It feels like I haven't been with anyone else in ages. I really appreciated the change. Who do you think I should consider next? They both laughed together. Loren was relieved to know that there was no divorce paper hanging over her. Since they didn't talk much, he decided not to ask Travis what he thought, not knowing his wife's intentions. Travis was in no hurry to get a divorce. He hoped that she would realize the error of her actions and put an end to his delusions. It seemed to him that forgiveness and moving on were quite achievable if she just left her reckless actions in the past. Her optimism was boosted when Loren canceled an appointment the following week. Even though their relationship was still distant and they had difficulty communicating, he began to see a spark of hope. The next Friday night, Loren was dressed to the nines, giving the impression that she was ready for a date. Are you really thinking about meeting the same guy again? Or are you targeting someone new this week? Travis asked in a harsh tone. Seriously, Travis, didn't you hear a word I said? It's not about you. The truth is that I want to sort out my desires before I lose my attractiveness. It's not that I love you less. I just want a little more variety. Do you understand that? Everyone is constantly chasing me, and I just want to enjoy. But I will always come back to you, she said. What if I don't want him to come back? I won't share you. I will not stand idly by while you're having fun. That's not who I am. I refuse to wait until you're dating half the guys in town. Maybe I can handle one date, but two? It's disrespectful. It feels like a betrayal. Stay all night. Give yourself. Everything is for us. This is not my goal in life, he said. She provoked him by moving her fingers. You don't want to lose me. It doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing situation. Last week, Travis asked his lawyer to prepare all the necessary documents, hoping they weren't really needed. The Neva will call his wife on Monday morning. But first he needed to talk to his daughters. When he contacted them that night, neither Jackie, who was turning 21, nor Michelle, turning 19, they seemed particularly surprised. But after their conversation, Travis felt that Jackie could guess what was going on. So you knew he was headed for disaster, and you didn't tell me? He asked with obvious disappointment in his voice. Do I deserve to know what's going on? Please, Dad. I was in a difficult position. Anyway, someone would be upset with me. Besides, her body responded to her. It's not your decision to dictate whether she decides to share it, he continued. Vast, don't go on, Travis interrupted. I understand that she put you in a difficult position, but don't tell me she can do whatever she wants with her body whenever she wants. This body belongs to her. Let's stop talking about her body, she began before he interrupted her. Damn it, Dad. Sorry, you're CO her. When Loren entered the house at 2 in the morning, Travis was nowhere to be found. Although he had returned an hour earlier than usual, she was even more disheveled than before. Gabriel Esposito was a great and formidable man, perhaps the most powerful partner I had ever worked with. By the end of the night, he could barely move. And in the morning, I expected bruises from her tight embrace. Overall, it was an amazing night. Loren thought that one day she would have the chance to see Gabriel again. But when she received the divorce papers at the office on Monday morning, he was surprised and confused. Stunned, she burst into tears and ran to the women's bathroom, where Rosla found after a while. You saw this coming, Rose said. He's just trying to get revenge. Men can be so mean when it comes to revenge. Leave what I have a week to think about alone. He'll come back eventually. He'll try to pull himself together. Loren went back to her desk, picked up the phone, and she immediately called her husband. How could you do this to me in front of everyone at the office? He asked, raising his voice. I know it's hard for you, but I deserve more, Trav, after 23 years. Don't I deserve more than that? You unilaterally decided to destroy our marriage. If I'm not what you need, you couldn't just tell me to end things in an adult way. I don't want stability. I don't want a divorce. I love you. IRO. To I love you. But with every person you sleep with, that love diminishes. He answered sharply. My love is not infinite like yours. I always knew that. Maybe we were both wrong. Despite Oren's reluctance, Travis continued to insist on the divorce. Her lawyer arranged for a marriage counseling session, and Travis reluctantly agreed to participate. When they entered the consultant's office, they were surprised to see Lillian Komoko there. The consultant began by saying that, according to research conducted, among marriage counselors, they usually focus on reconciling couples, often leaning towards women. Let's start with the basics, Mrs. Wesley. She really told her husband about her plan to date other men. For several years, Travis tried to suppress a smile, and Laura came in to hide her surprise. Yes, I did, he replied gently. This is what I want. I don't need him to do it for me. This will not affect their marriage, the consultant announced. We can finish here. I apologize for the inconvenience, Mrs. Wesley. I will notify the judge and put an end to this farce. But, stammered Loren. Honey, if you really believe that what you did to your husband, it would affect me in some way. So, You're living in a fantasy. You should be ashamed of yourself, but obviously you don't care. To be honest, you disgust me, Ms. Komoko said. Over the next month, Laura tried to get in touch with Travis several times a day while he was moving to a small apartment nearby. He ignored all her calls and messages. Finally, she turned to her daughter for help, asking her to contact him. Dad, you still love her, don't you? If you leave to duty to other guys, I would consider without tempting him again. Michelle asked him during one of their conversations. She's still seeing someone, even after I sued her. Travis' voice was trembling with emotion. There was a heavy silence that confirmed his doubts. Michelle did not get in touch anymore and did not try to establish a relationship. Travis was surprised at how quickly the news of his upcoming divorce spread, especially among the single women in the office. Several colleagues expressed sympathy for her situation, including those who were friends of him and his wife. Travis knew better than to be naive. He realized that not all the condolences he received. They were sincere expressions of sympathy. Connie, a close friend of his wife, expressed her condolences, and he seemed almost openly to express emotional support. Travis was surprised by her unexpected coquetry, especially since I had never shown interest in him before. I would never chase after a friend's husband. That would be wrong, he assured her. Now that you're single, everything has changed. I have feelings for you. I'm surprised and flattered, but technically I'm not single yet, Connie. We can't start anything until the divorce. I may be old-fashioned, but I refuse to change, Travis insisted. You're a good guy, Trav. That's one of the things I admire about you. Can you at least make an appointment for me when I'm officially free? Connie asked. Of course, replied Travis. I don't want to interfere in your friendship with Lauren, especially since they've been friends for so long. He really appreciated your concern, but I can't miss an opportunity, just because it's a little out of the ordinary. Maybe I'll call you when I have some free time, Connie replied playfully. Travis couldn't help but smile at his words. Connie was an attractive Asian woman, less than 2 meters high, with a toned figure and long black hair to the waist. He was amazed that a woman like her was interested in him. Fulfilling his promise, Travis contacted Connie the day their divorce was finalized. They sat together that Saturday night, and then they went to a local jazz club. Connie couldn't help but notice Travis' nervousness and pointed it out to him. I feel like an ignorant teenager, he admitted. It's been over 26 years since I've been on a date with anyone but Lauren. You're telling me that the birth control you have in your wallet, is it the same as the one from the last date before Lauren? Provoked him. Maybe I should have brought it with me, Travis said with a smile. Wow, I hadn't even thought about it, he replied surprised. I certainly have no practice, Travis admitted. When the night came to an end, Connie tenderly kissed him, and they both felt satisfied. Travis assured him that he would lend him a hand more than once. When she took off her wedding ring the day the divorce was finalized, it didn't seem like an important event to him. But for single women, this event had great significance. Several colleagues noticed that he was not wearing a ring and began to comment on it, which led to a noticeable increase in flirtations in the office. This was completely new territory for Travis. One day at lunch, he shared with his best friend at work her thoughts about the unexpected attention she was getting. Wow, there's so many beautiful women here. As I had not realized this before, exclaimed Travis. Your friend of mine really embodies the definition of an impatient man, Robert Ardito commented. He's quite in love with her, that you didn't even notice the other women around you. Sure, she's beautiful, but you let her dominate you. And maybe that's part of the problem. She's always pushing the boundaries, and there's something about her. In the meantime, you've become educated too, and radiating such energy that not a single woman has looked in your direction. In the first month after the divorce, Travis went on 4 dates, 2 of them with Connie. Although I hadn't slept with anyone yet, that was not his main goal. In the second month, the interest did not decrease, and as a result, he slept with 2 women. Meanwhile, the daughters of Travis, who had recently been more in touch with his mother than with him, they often heard from her that she could easily captivate any man, while his father had difficulty finding interlocutors, not to mention a regular girlfriend. Sympathizing with his father, they decided to pay him an unexpected visit. One Saturday morning, about 2 months after the divorce, He didn't like being woken up at 8:36 a.m., especially after having accompanied your guests late at night. Sonia, an agile 25-year-old girl and friend of a friend. I needed a reliable escort for a wedding. And their night together was also that they decided to extend it in Travis' apartment. Just when Sonia fell asleep at her bed, Travis, still in bata, he opened the door and saw his daughters greeting him cheerfully, carrying bags full of goodies for breakfast. "What's the matter?" When they entered, he was surprised. "Eat that. Could your two dear daughters join you for breakfast?" he exclaimed already as they started to unpack their suitcases. After exchanging kisses on the cheek, Travis took them to the kitchen table. Sonia came out of the bedroom wearing one of the crossbody shirts, partially unbuttoned and probably with nothing else on. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you had guests, honey," Sonia said. "Mom said you're in charge." Both girls blushed as Sonia poured herself a cup of coffee. No, Sonia. These are my daughters, Jackie and Michelle," Travis explained, quickly pointing to each of them. While they were having breakfast with Salmonitos Estadas, Sonia let out a giggle, which made her curvaceous figure move. She playfully tapped his hand across and then settled into the chair next to him. The four of them chatted casually until Jackie started talking about the recent travel dates with Lauren. In an instant, his behavior changed, and for the first time in days, he felt a twinge of irritation. Until that moment, he believed that it was almost impossible to bother next to Sonia, although his outburst was a bit excessive for his 48 years. "I have to admit, Dad," Michelle said, "we thought you were missing Mom already. We know she misses you, but we thought she would live her best life without you. But now I realize that I was your anchor." She was having fun with two guys at the same time in her old bed, Jackie exclaimed, while Sonia laughed and Michelle frowned. "She's not promiscuous, you know," Michelle said seriously. "Think about it for a second. How many different boyfriends have you had since we split up? Before I left, I only knew about 2. Both girls blushed and looked down. Wow, if it's 2 guys a month for like 10 months, that's 20 different guys. And if you count 3 kids a month, that's 30. "That's a crowd," Sonia commented. If looks could kill, Travis's daughters would have killed her instantly. She knew it very well. "Hey, don't blame me if some women can't keep their legs closed," Sonia joked. "Well, let's not ruin my good weekend, guys." Travis intervened. "I'm sorry," the 3 young women murmured in unison. Jackie leaned over and quietly asked Sonia, "So you two are a couple then?" "He doesn't look much older than me. Dad said we're the same age, but don't worry. I will never be your stepmother. We're just friends. He's a great guy. Mesita at the wedding yesterday. Actually. And yes, he's just handsome. Did I mention he's a great guy? Well, we can all agree that he's a good guy. Although sometimes a little silly," Jackie said. "And yes, it looks good for a man who could be your father." Sonia felt herself blush at this comment, and Travis did too. "Hey, honey," he said, "do you remember that we have to have lunch with the families of the newlyweds at the hotel at noon? I need to take a shower and pick up my clothes from home before we leave." She reminded him of Sonia. Both daughters exchanged glances with their father. "Mom, she's my age," Jackie told her mother at lunchtime a few weeks later. And it doesn't seem like it was just an occasional thing. They spent a lot of time together. They enjoy being together. I doubt he's begging to come back to you soon. No, you just happened to find him in a good mood. Most likely, he was helping a friend's son and got lucky. She's probably the kind of person willing to sleep with anyone. Loren replied, "Your father is a wonderful man, but he's not the kind of man who plays with just anyone. Somewhere along the way, you did everything by yourself. Was it worth it?" For the first time, attention was shown on the Oren's face. From Rose's point of view, everything seemed much better than it really was. She couldn't bring herself to tell her daughter that her nightlife was just promise, and she didn't deserve to be mentioned. He also couldn't admit that he didn't expect Travis to do anything more than sulk his beautiful ex-wife. Carried away by her own thoughts, she never realized that an attractive man with excellent qualities, intelligence, and a stable job, he could be very sought after in the dating world, and not just for older women. After her divorce, she knew that Travis had dated several women, including her old friend Connie, and now he was dating a carefree young woman the same age as his eldest daughter. Instead of staying at home lamenting, he looked like a 20-year-old guy who attracted more attention than he deserved. When Connie found out that her friend was dating her ex, She kept quiet, considering it a sign of the asthma. But after the second date, she talked to Connie alone, her voice rising with excitement. "I thought we were friends, Connie," Lauren said with obvious disappointment. "You should have supported me. Women should take care of each other." "But it didn't hurt you," Connie replied. "He's actually a great guy. That's all I want to see in a man. Why shouldn't you go out with Trev? There are many women who want it. He is the perfect man and a true gentleman, not to mention he is fantastic in bed. I would have gone on a date with him instantly if he had asked me. How could you pass up such a wonderful opportunity?" The time went due in silence and looked at her friend. He was beginning to realize that his mistake was getting out of control. She loved Travis and hated Vallegar coming home every night to an empty house, terrified of having to spend another night alone. On the other hand, Travis could not imagine that his life would be so difficult. He had been perfectly happy following his old, predictable routine. Besides, life was going well for him. The work was satisfying and her social life was flourishing. He appreciated communicating with women of different ages and often noticed that he got closer to them during dates. Although she was not looking for a long-term relationship, she liked the variety that these relationships offered her. Life offered more opportunities than just being married to a beautiful woman. Mara Goodling had shoulder-length silver hair with purple undertones, tied in a ponytail under a Chicago Cubs baseball cap. A tight blue t-shirt highlighted her graceful curves and Levi's jeans in a light blue. They hugged her figure as if they were made for a 20-something woman. Still 60 years old, she attracted a lot of attention by sitting in the left stands of Wrigley Field Stadium among her fans, including Travis Wesley, the ex-husband of one of Mara's collaborators, Lauren Wesley. Mara and Travis were at the Cubs game as part of a weekend trip to Chicago. Mara, who had worked closely with Lauren for more than 15 years, recalls, "I met Travis at various company events when I was with his ex-wife, and I always thought he was handsome and charming." Mara knew that Travis and Lauren had divorced about 2 years ago, and she had envied for about 5 years after losing her husband in a car accident. During this time, she had only had one date, which led her to look up Travis' phone number. Travis remembered her well. It was difficult for him to forget the woman who radiated grace and beauty. He really wanted to have dinner with her and wholeheartedly accepted. This happened a few months ago. Their first date took place in a luxury restaurant, after which they went to a concert in the concert hall whose tickets were provided by Mara. The night ended with a kiss at her door. On their second date, they went camping on Saturday. Travis took some breaks, which made Mara laugh. She told him that she and her late husband were fond of hiking and climbing. Although Travis thought he was in good shape, he soon realized that he was wrong. She also noticed Mara's toned figure for her age and her striking gray eyes. The date ended with a tender intimacy on the living room carpet. Her combination of elegance and approachable charm won him over. Mara gladly accepted when Travis suggested spending the weekend in Chicago during their third date. During their first fling together, Mara confessed to Travis that she wasn't planning on telling Loren about their relationship. "Even if you wouldn't deny it, and they asked, I had no desire to make it public." Mara also revealed that Loren had informed her colleagues that she and Travis were getting divorced due to irreconcilable differences. Travis repeated the same story as the others. Loren had cheated on him with at least 2 other men, though he chose not to go into details. In the 2 years since his divorce, Travis had several strong relationships and, in his opinion, a satisfying personal life. His partners respected him, and some expected to be more than just casual companions for him. While Travis was looking to restore his confidence in women and explore the possibility of remarrying, Loren was pursuing other goals. Before their first date, she told her then-husband that she was only interested in physical pleasure. Although she still attracted many, she did not need the emotional connections that most of her friends desired. This fundamental difference between the former spouses created a problem for Jackie, who was heavily involved in the wedding preparations financed by her supportive father. When Loren suggested that both parents attend the wedding together to reduce the tension, Jackie quickly agreed and shared the suggestion with her dad over lunch that week. "Is this your smart idea or your mom's?" Travis asked firmly. "I plan to take a lady with me," Travis continued. "I am covering the expenses of this event, and I intend to enjoy it with my partner." Do you take dance classes like me for your wedding? He's very charming. No excuses, Jackie. She's obviously trying to manipulate me, acting selfishly to get her way. I'm sorry, but I refuse to go to my daughter's wedding without an appointment. If you don't have the courage to tell her, then I will. She can go alone or take someone of her choice. I'll take mine, Travis said. Understood, Dad. I'll talk to her, was the reply. Appreciated your point of view, and I'm looking forward to watching you dance, Jackie said. But could you take someone closer to your age? Jackie asked. I can handle it, but you should see Sonia and me dancing. Travis replied with a big smile that was met with an equally cheerful smile. Despite their differences over the navy blue dress chosen for her, Travis took Connie Mason to the wedding. He believed that, as the father of the bride in a tuxedo, she deserved a new dress, which he would gladly pay for. And I know you need shoes too, she added with a playful smile. Walking down the aisle with his eldest daughter turned out to be one of the most bittersweet moments for Travis. Everything was exactly as other parents described, but he recognized that that day was truly wonderful. He, Connie, and their kids enjoyed the holiday and danced into the night. The only tense moment occurred when his ex-wife appeared with her partner. Although Travis remained mostly impossible, the man couldn't help but squint at him and then at several women behaving like an annoying drunk. At Jackie's request, Lauren quickly escorted the man out, clearly embarrassed by his behavior. During a brief chat in the bathroom, Lauren confronted Connie, accusing her of stealing her man. Connie calmly responded, denying the allegations and clarifying that Travis had divorced Lauren before their relationship began. Lauren didn't say anything and let Connie leave without escalating the situation, as she didn't want to spoil the family special day. A few months after the wedding, Michelle approached her father and felt uncomfortable. Travis noticed her behavior and decided to ask her about it. Hi, daughter, what's up? I saw you a little tense all night. Michelle's face flushed and she started to stutter. Travis realized something wasn't right. Dad, do you know that Mom sometimes says she wants to make peace with you? Will we be together again as soon as I stop seeing other people? Did you ever have any kind of connection? Did he ask? My personal life is none of your business. Miss, Travis replied conformisa. And no, I didn't sleep with your mom after she cheated on me. Period. The thing is, Dad, she has a venereal disease. I heard her talking to her friends, and she mentioned that she has syphilis. Michelle said quietly, avoiding her father's gaze. Travis looked surprised and sad when Michelle looked at him. I think you're telling me this because you're worried about my health, Travis replied. But it's standard protocol to tell all potential partners about the disease so they can get tested. I didn't know that. I was only worried about you, Papa, he replied. I know Mom keeps seeing other people. Some of my friends have warned me that it is quite promiscuous. It's always frustrating when a friend points out that your mom isn't perfect. A few days later, Travis received a call to Mara's manager, who repeated Michelle's concerns, and he was probably worried about his own health. If you're wondering if I slept with me ex, the answer is unequivocally no, I assure Travis. Believe in my Mara, I understand why you're worried, but I can't control Meeks' actions. He's Candeloso is the nicest thing I've heard about her lately. Marlo replied, noting that in recent months the whole city had been talking about Lauren's activities. It seems that the longer she is alone, the more reckless she becomes, she commented. Even Lauren used her benign illness as a means to try and get Travis back. Now, 6 months after she was declared cured, she is making plans to reunite. She still resents Travis for being the one who ended her marriage, something she never wanted. She believed that he would not carry out the divorce, convinced that I wouldn't find someone as wonderful as her. His strategy might have worked if it wasn't for the other women who were courting Travis. Full of confidence in his own attraction, he could not understand why he was attracted to another. I know it's wonderful, but don't these women see that it's not at my level? Sighed Rose one evening while they were drinking margaritas and waiting for their companions. Rose was supportive of her friend's lifestyle without fully understanding the complexity of Travis' life, believing that Travis would sink into sadness while she was having fun. La Oren and Rose visited him after the ultimatum and found that his love life after the divorce was as bright as Lauren's. If Lauren had been honest, perhaps she would have admitted that her ex-husband seemed to be experiencing a deeper emotional satisfaction. whereas Travis was genuinely happy to be dating someone. Lauren's social life was limited, and although she felt a lack of intimacy after having contracted a venereal disease, he realized that there had been a long period of silence in his life. Maybe it was time for her and Travis to get together, she thought. Travis was surprised to hear her voice on the other end of the line. It had been almost 2 years since he had last spoken to his ex-wife. Some of her daughters should have shared her new mobile number with her. Although she did not forbid them to do so, she made it clear that she saw no reason to communicate directly with her again. "Hi, Trev," she said in her sweetest voice. "I think it's time we talked. I thought we had agreed not to talk until Michelle got married. Since that hasn't happened, maybe we should go back to silence," Travis replied. "It's the same, Travis," he insisted. "Keep trying to deny your feelings for me. Deep down you know you want me back." "It's the same, Lauren," he replied. "Do you still think it's all about you? Look, I know you're still upset with me, but I really love you. Maybe I should have just cheated on you and kept it a secret, but that would have been wrong," she admitted. "It was a hoax anyway, Lauren. Just because you warned me about it doesn't change the fact that it happened. You did it because you thought I would never leave you. Do you really think about me too?" Travis said, "I know you consider yourself a 10, maybe even a 12, but you're so much more than that. Are you really beautiful? I don't want to live in your shadow anymore. The last few years have shown me that I am more than just the husband of an attractive woman. Other women appreciate what I bring and are willing to reciprocate. These last few years have been amazing for me. Why would I date a selfish woman again who clearly doesn't respect me? And despite her words, doesn't she love me like I loved her?" The past tense of the word loved weighed heavily on his thoughts. After finishing the conversation, Travis turned to the woman sitting next to him. "Are you ready for the second round?" did he ask her. Sonia eventually found her soulmate and got married, but Connie and Mara continued their relationship with Travis. He took care of them in his own way, but he never decided to get married again. They also wanted it in a different way, and all three embraced this unconventional dynamic. Years later, both women were invited to the wedding of their second daughter, Michelle, which really upset Lauren, who hadn't invited her boyfriend. She expressed her displeasure to her daughter, but Michelle remained indifferent. "After me, Jackie and her family, as well as Connie and Mara, are the two closest people to Dad," Michelle replied. "They love him for who he is and put him first, unlike some people," she added reproachfully. "You had it, and you chose to leave with someone else. Why? Why were you afraid to grow up and thought that I had no other options, that I would never leave you for someone else?" But Travis was happy with his life, even if it wasn't his ideal. He walked away from a situation that he could not accept. Lauren's life wasn't about loneliness or regret. Despite her undeniable attractiveness, Lauren found that beautiful women often just have to be present for men to pay attention to them. She was often approached and had several short relationships, but none of them turned into anything significant. Reflecting on her past decisions, Lauren felt deep regret for having told her then husband that she needed other men. She still couldn't accept that Travis had walked away from her so easily. How could he have misjudged the situation so badly? In her eyes, she was a perfect 10, and he was just an average man. It wasn't fair that everything had ended like this. And that's the end of the story. Thank you for your valuable time. This is the end of my story. Subscribe to not miss more videos like this. And remember, history is a chance to become a better person, and see you soon.